this is Bill Moseley, and I listen to the Skeleton Crew. I like to keep my standards low. That way I'm never disappointed.
You're listening to the Skeleton Crew, radioactive scary.
Okay, we're back, and we're here with Bill Moseley, a man with quite a career. Night of the Living Dead, The Blob, Army of Darkness, Texas Chainsaw 2, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and it goes on and on. Bill, thank you for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure.
It's great having you on.
Well, you know, I set my standards low.
Well, you will not be disappointed then.
Yes, and so I'm never disappointed.
You know, Bill, what I really love about you is, like, your enthusiasm for the work you've done. Like, I'm thinking, like, who else would dress up as a character they played in a movie to an award show, or even, like, join a band and perform the vocals as, you know, that character Chop Top? Like, are you loving where things are going right now in your life?
Yes, I mean, you're trying to get me to admit that I'm deeply depraved, and I'm more than happy to say yes.
Exactly.
I mean, usually when you have a normally a weak personality, then you know you tend to live in character projections, and at least that's what my shrink told me. So what I'm trying to do is to just develop my own characteristics and try to be Bill Moseley a little more often.
Really?
But it's not as exciting, but apparently in the long run it will be more fulfilling.
Yeah, more beneficial in the end.
I guess.
So they say.
It's very confusing. My new efforts are confusing my children now. They go, "Hey, lick my plate, Dad," and I go, "No." Hey, Dad, but aren't you the devil, and aren't you here to do the devil's work? I go, "No, kids, no. Let's watch cartoons."
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, when your kids watch you in these roles, are they freaked out? Like, what's Daddy doing to that guy?
When my older daughter was about 6 or 7, she had a nightmare, and I heard her calling out weakly and frightened in the middle of the night, and I jumped out of bed and came into her room, and I said, "What's wrong, sweetie?" And she said, I had a nightmare. And I said, "Really, sweetie, what was it about?" And she goes, I don't want to say. I said, No, really, what was it about? And she goes, "Candyman." I said, "Candyman?" I said, "Honey, your father is Chop Top, and Chop Top kicks Candyman's ass." And it just came out of me spontaneously. It's like a professional pride thing.
Yeah.
And she kind of, and I know Tony Todd, and I'm sure he could kick my ass 100 ways to Sunday, but in the moment, that came out like, "What? Candyman? Jeez, give me a break." And, she looked at me like, "My God, my dad is Chop Top." And somehow that gave her relief, and she went right to sleep. Of course, I was also had my hand over her nose and mouth. So
that'll do it.
That'll do it.
As long as she wakes up in the morning, we're good.
Yeah, it's scientific principle. It's called oxygen deprivation. No, but anyway, so my kids have certainly, that's just part of the deal.
I was going to ask you about Chop Top. One thing that really struck me is like the different tone between Texas Chainsaw, the original, and Part 2. So what I'm wondering is, did that affect the way you approach that role? Like, was it evident on paper, or did it become apparent while you were filming that this movie was not going to be nearly as dark or serious as the original?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I got Kit Carson, who co-wrote with Toby, sent me a copy of the script before I ever was Chop Top, and he asked me to read the script and pay attention to that character. And, it was, I could tell that there was a lot of spoof in it. The original opening was a bunch of, yuppie things, like, I don't know if it was plaid pants or yuppie, plates or, some kind of Neiman Marcus ad. And with every new tableau, a chainsaw was supposed to cut through it. So it was clearly like "Die Yuppie Die" could have been the subtitle to it.
Right.
And I could tell that it was definitely, there was a sense of humor to it, that basically that the Sawyer family had now moved into kind of, a weird yuppie universe. And, was trying to get by, with the chili business and,
Yeah.
just kind of, like they wanted the same things that, the yuppies wanted. So I got that it was funny. And when I went to Austin, Texas to shoot Chainsaw 2 in the spring of '86, I remember I'd never met Toby before. I got hired on the basis of a short film I made called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was actually set in a beauty parlor in Staten Island, and I played the hitchhiker character. Anyway, so I had never met Toby. Toby hired me on the basis of my 20-second cameo as the hitchhiker. And when I finally did meet him, what really struck me was I remember talking to him and saying, we really was freaked out by Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, it really, it hurt me, deep down inside. And, only by watching it a bunch of times and making the manicure, was I able to kind of rise above it, or at least, get back to surface level. And Toby looked at me kind of quizzically and just said, "Oh man, I think of the original as a comedy."
Really?
And I went, what?
Yeah. All right.
But, and I've looked at it since, from that point of view, and it's got a lot of very funny moments to it.
It does.
And there must have been a lot of set humor to it, to boot. But, when I first saw it back in, 1975, I guess, in Boston, on the double bill with Enter the Dragon, in the combat zone in, downtown Boston on a Sunday afternoon, there was nothing funny about it. I mean, it just it took the air out of the theater and really freaked everybody out. And so for him to think of the first one as a comedy, I mean, geez, I just thought, man, what have I gotten into here? But you know what? It's, we never played anything for laughs. I mean, that was, I think good comedy is when everybody's oblivious to it being comedic. You just, play your part.
Right.
And then, the context kind of makes everything funny or gives it a perspective.
Yeah, just like the old Batman show, you just play it straight, and yeah, like you said, the content in it is what's going to carry the comedy out.
Yep,
that's perfect. I was thinking, like, how do you define your career, like, because you got the whole Chop Top thing and all the movies I already mentioned that you did in the earlier days. Would you like sort of divide your career as before and after Rob Zombie?
You certainly could. I was really lucky. It felt like hitting the lottery to get the part of Chop Top. I mean, again, I never auditioned for it. I just made out of my own inspiration, made the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It didn't really go anywhere for 2 years. But what I had done was I brought it out and showed it to a friend of mine. I was living in New York when I made it, and I brought it out to Los Angeles when I came out for. Used to work for a magazine called Omni, an old science magazine. Mm-hmm. And I was out in L.A. covering the making of 2010, the Space Odyssey sequel. And I had a school buddy who was actually then and still a successful screenwriter. And he and his partner had an office across the hall from Tobe Hooper back then at Paramount Pictures when they were doing Poltergeist. And my buddy said, hey, I showed him the manicure just, for the heck of it. And he said, well, look, if you leave me a copy of this, I'll walk it into Toby and give it to him. And I thought, I'm not really going to do anything with it. So, there's, that would be really nice if the director liked it. But, I didn't really have any expectations. And true to his word, my buddy walked it into Toby, and Toby loved the manicure and called in his producing partner, a guy named Steven Spielberg, and showed him the manicure, and they both loved it. They loved my performance, and so that's how I got the job. I mean, that was 2 years before. That was '84, so it was 2 years until they actually started shooting Chainsaw 2. And so I got a call out of the middle of nowhere, I just out in the night. And basically got hired on the basis of a short film I did 2 years earlier. So that was kind of the lottery. You know, that got me into show business because that was kind of winning the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, I got some gigs here and there. I did Pink Cadillac with Clint Eastwood, and I did White Fang for Disney, and you know, a few things here and there. But it wasn't really. I wasn't completely. You know, it was kind of like. Yeah, that was, you know, kind of phase two, kind of, you know, was rolling, seemed to be rolling to a halt. Mm-hmm. When I think it was actually October 99, Halloween 99, that a friend of mine who was the publicity director for Universal City Walk out here in Burbank, California. And around Halloween, there was like 30 days where City Walk turned into Haunted City Walk, and there was mist and a bunch of zombies running around screaming. And they also, Universal did an in-house horror award show called the Igor Awards. And they needed an MC, and my buddy knew that I was, you know, Chop Top and the monster guy. So he called me up and asked me if I wanted to MC the horror award show, and I said, sure. And I asked him if I should come as Chop Top. And he had to consult because Chop Top wasn't a Universal monster. But because I had been in Army of Darkness, I was part of the Universal family, and therefore, you know, it was cool to come as Chop Top. So I had done a short film for Tony Hooper, Toby's son, called The All-American Massacre. And on that, I had met a guy named Todd Bates, who could do the Chop Top makeup. And so I invited him along. He made me up as Chop Top, and then, you know, I emceed the little horror award show as Chop Top in a tuxedo. Mm-hmm. And one of the award recipients was Rob Zombie.
Yep.
And I wasn't, you know, a Rob Zombie fan. My older daughter at that time was 13, and she was a big Dragula fan and Hellbilly Deluxe fan. So, you know, I brought her along with one of her little pals, so, you know, to get some daddy points. And so, you know, and I did the show, and I gave Rob his award. And Rob later told me that, you know, he thought he was backstage, and he was just hearing me from backstage, and he thought, yeah, that guy's doing a decent Chop Top, not great. And then he comes out and takes a look at me, and he goes, you know, holy shit, that is Chop Top. So, you know, we ended up, you know, that was his first award, so that didn't hurt that I was able to hand him his first, I'm sure, many awards. Yeah. And we talked backstage. You know, my kid and her friend met Rob. That was very exciting. I met Sherry and Rob's parents, and we all had a great chat. And a month later, I got a call from Rob's manager, Andy Gould, saying his script, House of a Thousand Corpses, had been greenlit at Universal, and would I like to be in it? Mm-hmm. And, you know, by then, you know, I kind of run out of steam. My career seemed to have been in one of those, you know, ebbs that, you know, most actors experience. Yeah. And, you know, to go from basically that to, you know, starring in Rob's, you know, studio picture, quote unquote, was pretty amazing. So I thought for the nanosecond, I said, yeah, I'd like to be in it.
Yeah, and your career just catapulted like crazy. Like everybody from those movies, it almost seemed like Rob was going to use that same kind of group of people for all his movies. You know, House 1000, but of course it was just a sequel, so you weren't sure if that was the case. But then they all showed up in Halloween, and then, you know, 4 or 5 of them I know are in like the Lords of Salem. Like is this is this like an understood thing that you guys are going to be in most of his movies, or is it like a surprise every time he asks you?
I think it's more of a surprise. I mean, you know, I think all of us like working with Rob. I don't know who doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. But you know, because when Rob is a great director for those of us who love the horror genre, because he likes to go for it. He likes to entertain and outrage and freak out. He likes to he loves taking on the suits and duking it out as you know, people fret about, should we go that far? And Rob loves to, you know, duke it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a rock and roll guy. And, you know, the great thing about, certainly with House of a Thousand Corpses, none of us was really, you know, kind of a star, you know, that you would have on the name on the box, you know, in terms of, you know, a studio picture.
Right.
The great thing, the thing that was so wonderful was that Rob was such a big star name that it was really his name was on the box. And then, you know, because he was the star, like he basically could, you know, pick whatever cast he wanted. So he, you know, he loved Sid Haig, he loved me, he loved, you know, Dennis Fimple, Karen Black, Tommy Tolles. I mean, you know, the list goes on. And so it ended up being kind of an underground all-star cast that I think, you know, a lot of the studio people were maybe scratching their heads going, who are these people?
Right.
But, you know, for the fans, you know, it was a holiday.
Yeah, it just works. Like, the chemistry is unbelievable with you guys. The casting, unbelievable.
Oh, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies, Bill. You know, and I gotta say, you guys are such great actors too, and it really does remind me of literally an all-star cast when I watched it. It's just every single performance, and I know yours, you know, specifically really stood out to me, and I know it really creeped me out. And I wasn't gonna mention this, but since I'm talking about it already, I might as well here. There's two things in my life that have really just freaked me out, like totally, you know, had nightmares about. Basically, one of them being the movie Silver Bullet, the priest in that movie. You ever see that? The priest with the eye patch.
Good for you.
Yeah, he scared the living shit out of me. That was the first one. Now the second one was you. Now, specifically your
thanks.
voice though. Yeah, well, it's something about when Otis gets pissed in The Devil's Rejects. I don't know what it is, man. It's just, it's embedded into my cerebellum. I just can't get it out of my head. So, you know, just wanted to say that. Thank you for that, sir.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you. You know, when I'm at conventions and people come up to me, you know, a lot of times, you know, they come up and they go, "Man, you really," you know, and they're serious. I mean, they're psychically injured.
Yeah.
And they come up and they go, "Man, you really freak me out." And I always just go, "Thank you," you know, because you know, to me that's like saying, "Job well done, lad."
Oh,
you know.
Oh, absolutely, because we can tell you're a nice guy, obviously, and you're such a great actor, I gotta say, and really, it freaked me out, and like I said, that's just a testament to your acting skill, so, you know, bravo, sir.
Yes.
Well, thank you. You know, I gotta say that it's, you know, you can't imagine how much fun it is to, you know, to be handed roles like that. I mean, to me, that is just, I really couldn't be happier. You know, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you end up that certainly doesn't mean that you end up having to go to some pretty dark places.
Yeah.
And you know, for some people that's not as hard as you know, when you hear the word cut, you know, coming back. You know, a lot of people maybe they go there, they like to stay there, or they can't get back for some reason. You know, if I have pride in my work, it's being able to, you know, leave it at the office and come home and be, you know, a decent human being. I don't think you know, you don't want Otis coming home. "Hey, Dad, how was work today?"
Yeah.
"I'm the devil. I'm here to do the devil's work."
Oh my God. And you know, the thing I like about Devil's Rejects is that movie is like a rare case where the sequel is superior to the original. You know,
right.
Which oddly enough is the same thing that happened to Rob Zombie's Halloween. I mean, in my opinion, like, do you agree with that? Like, what did you think of Halloween 2?
With Halloween 2? Halloween 2 was, you know, I got to say that the very beginning of it was awesome. I loved Michael Meyer in the hospital. I just thought that was really incredible.
Yep.
You know, and I love, you know, it's kind of hard to judge that stuff because I love Sherry, Rob, Danielle Harris, Scout Taylor Compton. You know, so we're all buddies, and I'm actually even buddies with Tyler Main because, of course, he. You know, he was in Devil's Rejects, even though he, you know, got blown away pretty quick. But, yeah, really nice guy. So it ends up being kind of funny because, you know, especially, you know, it's kind of like seeing the movies, going to the conventions, you know, knowing the people, knowing everybody that's involved. You know, it's kind of hard to get an objective perspective on it.
Oh, yeah, like you can't get lost in the movie anymore.
Right.
Not as much. Although, I mean, there are certainly some that, you know, I mean, you know, movies that where I don't know the people in them. I mean, you know, Like I saw a movie. Well, I like the two Human Centipede movies.
Oh yeah.
I think are just awesome. I think I like a Serbian film. I thought that was the most excruciating. Excruciating, freaked out movie I'd ever seen.
Oh man.
I think still to this day, it really just really that kind of had the same impact on the adult me that the Chainsaw Massacre had on the younger me.
You don't have it on Blu-ray, do you?
Yeah. I don't have a Blu-ray. No. But man,
you don't want that one on Blu-ray.
That is an insane movie, and also, Human Centipede 1 and 2, Attack the Block. I love. I mean, there's a bunch of there's a bunch of new cool horror movies. It's not like I'm jaded to the genre as much as when I see a Rob Zombie or a Tyler Mane or
right. Yeah.
Ben Forey as Big Jim or whatever his character was in Halloween. Jim Grizzly. That was awesome, man. When he and Tyler were duking it out in the men's room.
Oh yeah.
Great. Yep.
And Ken told me that they kind of were choreographed at first, but then they really got into it because they're both big guys, and they were, I guess one of them rubbed the other one the wrong way in the moment. You're kind of pushing and shoving, and before you know it, they were really slamming each other around. So, it's exciting stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Glad I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I'm going to rip that mask right off your face. Oh, man.
I just want to thank you for blowing Jimmy's brains out the second he entered the room in the Khaki Palms Motel, by the way. He was so annoying. Thank you.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask you, was everybody aware that The Devil's Rejects was not a horror movie by definition, like while you were filming it? Because I don't think it's a horror movie. I always told people for years, I don't see it as a horror movie. And I think you agree. I remember you saying something like that.
I never thought it was either. I think to Rob's credit, that's why he edited it out. You can see in the deleted scenes that there's some Dr. Satan stuff, and he he ends up, ripping the, what's that beautiful woman's throat out? I mean, I should know her name. Who played the nurse who gets her throat ripped out by Dr. Satan?
Oh, good Lord! I know who you're talking about.
I should know. I have an excuse though, because I'm getting old. So, Rosario Dawson. That's it.
Right.
Yes.
There's a scene where he rips out Rosario's throat, but that got cut out because, again, Dr. Satan, didn't his look wasn't really in keeping with, the gritty, realistic Devil's Rejects. Also, I think of Devil's Rejects as a violent crime movie. I really thought that's where I really thought that was convinced that Rob Zombie was a genius was. Instead of just making a sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses, which could have been House of 2,000 Corpses or something as dumb as that, what he was able to do was to basically take the characters, keep them the same, keep the story the same, but everything changed.
Right.
So, we don't see Captain Spaulding in the makeup for, 90% of the movie.
Yep.
Baby only does her laugh once. Otis is now no longer an albino and has blue eyes instead of red speckled eyes, and seems to have become ruddy and Allman Brothers like.
Yep.
And that it's not a horror movie per se; that it is in fact like a road picture, like a violent crime. So that for Rob to basically use sequel money to then explore a whole new genre, I thought was really amazing.
Yeah. That's the thing. I never saw a sequel to any movie, whether it be horror or any other kind, be a totally different genre than the first movie.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of things, too.
That may be the first time it's ever been done, and it really was amazing.
Yeah.
And amazing, and I got to say that I still thought, okay, we're doing a sequel. I was still kind of in that sequel head until the day that I did my scene in the motel room with Priscilla Barnes.
Right.
The pistol-raped motel room, Banjo and Sullivan scene. And it was so brutal and so rough and such a weird, dark place to go. And I remember when actually we had done the first take of it, and really, it made me, it was upsetting. It was an upsetting scene because we really went for it. So, we got the real feelings out of it, and they were bad. And that's when I stepped off the set for a sec, and Rob was there, and I told him I was feeling bad, and he said, that's when he said, art is not safe.
Yeah.
And what that meant to me was, it actually spoke volumes to me, because it reminded, I'd never really thought of art as not being safe. I mean, I guess I probably knew that because enough artists were burned at the stake by the church or whatever. But, I always thought of art as kind of safe. And then I realized art is not safe. So that was kind of a philosophical breakthrough. And then also what it told me was, we're going for art here. We're not going for a shitty sequel that, that we hope will make, half the money that the original made, so that we can all, go on big vacations and smoke cigars.
Exactly.
This thing that he was going for something way different. And that was a clear signal to me, like, hey, man, we're going for something here. This isn't just, number two.
No.
That, I got to say, it fired me up. I thought, now that is very cool.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of changed your perspective on how you approach the rest of the movie, maybe, right?
It didn't necessarily, because, I basically, approach the thing the way, the way it's written and the way, the character kind of, takes me. But, it just kind of gave me a respect or some kind of a different perspective on it. And it just really made me think, if anything, it made me more determined and enthusiastic.
Right.
Because, we shot that whole thing in 30 days. And certainly it was pretty grueling for, the principal actors, as well as certainly the crew and Rob and the producers. But, we all had to really suck it up and really, bust our butts. And it required a lot of stamina, and it required a lot of focus. In discipline, just to kind of stick with it, because not slack off or drift or let it roll a little bit. And hearing that from Rob, I mean, that lit if I needed an extra fire lit under my tail, that was it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny he said that, because like I'm kind of like along the same lines as you. Like when he said art is not safe, and you thought it was, like, so would I. I mean, you would imagine, I'm going to go in there and make believe I'm somebody else, and it's all pretend, that we can go home and be ourselves again, so it should be pretty safe. But I guess what he meant was, like, when you give a performance that's worthy of, watching or, being on film, you have to go to a dark place, and that's not safe, because you might open up things in your mind that you didn't know were there just through this art itself,
Absolutely. And, and I got to give, kudos to Priscilla Barnes, who really was right there with me in that moment. And, the art not being safe part is, usually when you're doing like especially some kind of a, horror movie, and that the blood is fake, and the wounds are prosthetic, and there's a bunch of CGI maybe, and it's a monster, it's a guy with a rubber mask. In other words, all of that while you're actually making the movie. Now, when it's all put together and people see it in the theater, there's moments where they jump out of their seats, and scary music and wonderful editing and camera shots and all that stuff. But when you're making it, it's a different experience. In that moment in Devil's Rejects, it was not a different experience. There was no rubber, there was no trickery, there was nothing fake. You had to go to that place. That was why that scene is really, one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful in the movie. Was there was no faking it, man. That was was, we had to go there, and it was very exciting and very frightening, and really, Priscilla, I remember, gave me a note afterwards, and just said, thank you for being there in one of the most exciting scenes I've ever done in my life. And she, so she felt it too. I mean, it was really like, it was very powerful. And the only way you could do that is to just let yourself go, really, and just not, not be frightened, not hold back, just basically surrender to it. And it was dark, but it was ultimately very exciting.
Yeah. This film came out perfect, amazing, and we're all big fans, definitely.
Oh, good.
But you got a lot of stuff coming up. Now, you see, you have a lot of ties to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, making your own fan film, then you did part 2. House of 1,000 clearly has elements of Texas Chainsaw in it. And now you're playing Drayton Sawyer, the father, of the original movie. I guess you're taking on that role. And I have high hopes for this because Texas Chainsaw has been the best of the reboots in it, the whole reboot craze, and now you're in it. I mean, I just think it's going to be great. Can you tell us anything about this movie?
Well, I can. First of all, I can tell you that Drayton Sawyer is actually the older brother.
Oh, that's the brother?
Yes, a lot of people get that confused, but if you think back to the original, when Hitchhiker and when Drayton is giving the Hitchhiker some grief, and the Hitchhiker goes, "You're just a cook."
Right.
That's West Texas, man. You don't say that to your dad.
Oh yeah.
So he's that's so Drayton has always been the older brother. Yeah, I think the way the family is that there is Drayton is the oldest. Then there are the twins, Chop Top and the Hitchhiker. Chop Top having been away and fighting in Vietnam during the making of the first Chainsaw Massacre. And then back, of course, with the head wound and a bunch of government money and, enough to bankroll the rolling Gorilla Go-Go chili business for Chainsaw 2. But, of course, I'm doing that to support the family. But what I really want to do with my head wound money is to open up a Vietnam-themed amusement park called Nam Land. Nomland, right? So I now, when they were casting for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, which is Lionsgate film, and according to the producer Carl Mazzacone, it's now set to come out. I think it's Jan 4, 2013.
Okay.
And so when they were casting it. I remember Carl, I'd worked with Carl on Repo, the Genetic Opera, and also a movie that's just coming out one of these days, actually pretty soon, I think in the next day or two or week or something, and that's called The Tortured. And Carl also produced that. And so when he called me and said he wanted me to be in his Texas Chainsaw 3D, I was very excited about it, and I figured, thank God, finally Chop Top rides again. And then he told me that they had the rights to the original Chainsaw, but not the
second
2.
one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The second
So
one is
no Chop Top.
The second one has ended up, bouncing around from, it was at Canon Films, and then it got bought up by Pathé, and they got bought up by MGM, and then they got bought out by Sony. So that's where Chainsaw 2 is currently the property of Sony Studios. So they didn't have the rights to Chop Top because he wasn't in the original. So Carl Mazzacone asked if I wanted to play Drayton. And I said, absolutely. I mean, it's a total shift. It's kind of like asking Curly to come back and play Moe in a reboot of the Three Stooges. Doesn't make any. Yeah, it seemed like a stretch and kind of weird. But what I was happy to do was to I was a great friend of Jim Sedow, who passed away maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And we were Christmas card buddies. I loved his wife Ruth, and we were always pals, and enjoyed each other's company. So, for me, I was very happy to get the job because I felt part of it was about just making sure that I protected his legacy. And just in the sense of like I would rather, and I may have screwed it up, who knows, but I would rather screw it up than somebody who didn't really know or appreciate Jim or the legacy of the Chainsaw Massacre movies, and but somebody who actually at least was trying.
Yeah, I highly doubt that's the case. Yeah, no, I'm sure it was great.
Yeah, so they gave me some funny teeth and a fat shirt, and we shot it down in in Shreveport, Louisiana last summer when I was down there for about a week, and I think the average temperature was 104 degrees.
Wow.
And it's Louisiana, so I think the humidity was somewhere above 90%.
Oh.
So, the part that I shot, I also was down there with Gunnar Hansen. He was in it.
Wow.
Yeah. And John Dugan, who played, it's so funny because John Dugan played the original Grandpa. And that was 1974, and now, 40 years later, he returns to play Grandpa.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is freaky. It's like the Saw is in the family. I mean, that's really a family.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Marilyn Burns is back. I mean, so there was a lot of, and that's all thanks to Carl. That he acknowledged, the legacy and the Chainsaw family, and put a bunch of us together. And then also he ended up recreating, really pretty remarkably, almost photographically recreating the Chainsaw House.
Oh wow!
Which they built on a piece of Army property. So I don't know if we ever were in danger of stepping on landmines, but we were down there on some Army, base or something.
You better watch out. You might end up like Chop Top if you don't.
Exactly.
Shrapnel.
Yeah.
A metalhead.
I'm really excited about this movie, though, Bill. Oh, this has got to be probably one of my most anticipated movies.
So they're, the director is a great guy named John Lewinkamp, and I actually just saw John and Carl doing ADR, and that's where you go in and revoice some of your scenes if there was something wrong with the sound. Mm-hmm. I just saw them last week, so they're very excited about it, and I am too, man. I can't wait. The good news is I get a free ticket, so I'll be there walking that red carpet.
Wow, that is so great. You're getting tons of work. Like right now, aren't you in the middle of filming Manson Girls?
Manson Girls is still waiting to, we're still on the runway. I guess they're waiting to, get the amount of cash they need to really, go and do this thing. We've actually shot a trailer so far, and for the trailer, for the soundtrack, I recorded an old Doors song called 5 to 1. With actually one of the Doobie Brothers, a guy named Guy Allison, and so I recorded that song, and that's the soundtrack for the Manson Girls trailer.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if the trailer has been released yet, or if it's a trailer that's just, being sent to potential, money people. I don't know how that's working, but, it's a cool script, and it should be, a great movie. I'm surprised, actually, because it's, the fact that it's concentrating on the girls, and, at least, I've met some of the, actresses that have been cast in it. And, I got to say that if they had been the real Manson Girls, I don't think Charlie never would have left home, man.
Yeah. We saw that Monica Keena
Keena.
And she's from Freddy vs. Jason, and she's a looker.
Good
and
boy.
you see, now, and you're playing Charles Manson. I mean, that's great. Now, you see, if I was an actor, and this might be the typical approach, so let me know if you're gonna do this differently. Like, I'd probably go and watch all those old interviews of him and things like that, and I would probably, I'd probably try to match that to be as authentic as possible. I mean, is that what an actor does, or are you just gonna do your own take on what you're reading on that script?
Well, I also, read the script. You read, you go on YouTube and watch the interviews. You read Helter Skelter. It depends. I mean, for me, I certainly have availed myself of all of that. What I was worried about, what actually was, made me, it consoled me in a way, was watching one of the interviews. I don't know if it was with Charlie Rose or Geraldo Rivera or whatever, with Charles Manson. And I think it was Charlie Rose. And he, kind of leaned forward and earnestly and said, Charlie Manson, describe yourself, in 5 words, whatever he was. Who is Charles Manson?
Yeah, I know this.
And Charles Manson, without missing a beat, looked him right in the eye and said, I'm a poet. I'm a roll of nickels. No, I'm a boxcar. I'm a roll of nickels, and I'm a straight razor if you get too close to me.
Wow.
It's like, man, that's pretty good for like just off the top of your head.
Right.
So what I got from him was that there is a kind of somewhere in there is this kind of almost like a Woody Guthrie American poetry that I really appreciate. And then the other thing that I liked was that he's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's crazy. He does like weird, crazy dances and starts speaking crazy tongues in some interviews. But you can tell he's, there's a kind of a sense of humor to him, which is very helpful because all the characters that I played, whether it's Luigi Largo or Johnny in Night of the Living Dead or Chop Top or Otis, the thing that really, helps me to make them come alive is a sense of humor. And even though Charles Manson did, was a predatory, guy that did, a lot of very scary manipulations of people and did the creepy crawlies and all kinds of weird, scary stuff. The fact that he has, a poetic, soul and also a sense of humor really, really helped a lot.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. And Dan, you had a question about Holliston, right?
Oh, absolutely. Hey, Bill, one of my favorite shows is Holliston, definitely. We had Adam Green a few weeks back talking about that, and, we've been really excited for that. And then as I'm watching it, I noticed that you had a part on that, which totally set it over the top for me. That just solidified it for me. So I'm just wondering, how that came about and how you got involved with that.
Holliston is all Adam Green. I think that maybe, I worked with Adam. I certainly met him a couple of times at the horror conventions. And I did something for FearNet. And FearNet, I think, is the producer of Holliston. And FearNet did some kind of like at the movies with, and they would have these, pairs of people that had something to do with such and such a horror movie that would be talking about it. And, throughout the course of the movie. And I got paired up with Adam, actually, for Devil's Rejects. And when it came time to doing Holliston, he called me up and asked me, wanted me to do, a kind of a Crazy Eddie character. Crazy Eddie was like a, frenetic pitchman, in the 70s, I guess, and 80s, outside of New York for cheap stereo equipment or something. And Crazy Eddie, his prices are insane. And so I was going to do Crazy Max, and Crazy Max, is another, somebody, local guy outside of Boston who, has a big store full of junk, basically like discount stuff, and and loves the idea of doing his own commercials. He doesn't have the money to spend on a really good commercial, so he gets the Holliston guys to basically produce like really crappy little commercials. And Crazy Max loves to be on camera. So that's basically what I did. I channeled Crazy Eddie. I used to work on Martha's Vineyard and in fish markets.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I'm broadcasting from Falmouth right now.
All right, Falmouth, dude.
Yeah,
I was on the Vineyard. I worked at Poole's Fish Market and Larson's.
Both,
okay. Both in Menemsha, which is up island by Gay Head on Martha's Vineyard. I've been around. I know that area, and I know the people. My career started in Boston. I used to work in advertising in Boston. So,
really,
lived on Boylston between Berkeley and Clarendon. So. That's where it all began. So I knew the accents, and it was a great tagline. I'm from Crazy Max. If you don't, you're retarded. So. And it was just fun. I just came in one day. They just kind of, gave me a few little costumes and, stood me in front of the camera and just said, go for it. So, that was basically it. It was one day's work. It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And I'm a pal of Dee Snider, so it was fun. He was on the stat and everything. So it was just a fun day.
Oh, that's great. Now, when we were talking to Adam too, we were talking about season two. Do you think you'll be back for at all for season two? Same character, maybe different character?
It sounds like it. Adam has intimated that he wants Crazy Max back, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Great, I'm excited.
If he
Awesome.
didn't, he would be retarded.
Fucking retarded, dude. I try not to let my Boston accent get too crazy because these guys kill me every time. So.
Yeah. I'll let you go. You know, I just want to tell you before we let you go. I really love the Corn Bugs. I've been listening.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Buckethead, man, and I find it fascinating that when you guys record. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. You don't rehearse anything, and it's one take, and that's it.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. But how does that work for you though? Like, I guess you write all your lyrics out. And you just record yourself over the music once?
I don't actually. Some of them, a lot of the songs are just the lyrics. Actually, I just make them up on the spot. I mean, they're just spontaneous.
Really?
You just stand there.
Like Pigs Are People Too is totally just made it up.
Yeah,
made it up.
When a pig gets his throat slit.
Yeah, with Buckethead, he's not a normal, quote unquote. He's to me he's the greatest guitar player on the planet. But
Agreed.
If you try to say, hey, look, let's go back tomorrow and work on this, that, that's not going to happen. So basically, during my Corn Bugs experience is basically, what you get is what you get, and that's going to be it. So, you just have to learn how to, just go for it in the moment there, because that's going to be it.
Yeah, we love it. And Dan,
we've been rocking it.
And Dan's very curious, but he won't ask you. Does Buckethead wear his bucket in the house?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Bill,
but,
I'm
you
27.
You can certainly use your own imagination.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw Buckethead back in, I think it was 99, and it was the most crazy experience I've ever had. He was playing with Primus at the time. And
yes, that's right.
Yeah, it totally blew me away. I said, is that a KFC bucket on this guy? What's going on here? It was so intriguing. And then that's when I got into the music a little bit, and I was really excited about it. And actually, thinking back to it now, that's when I came across some of your stuff back then too. So it was cool, man. It was I love it. And I agree.
Well, I'm going to have to send you guys a copy of Spider Mountain. That's my new band with a guy named Ronnie Sharon from a band called Stolen Babies.
Oh, yeah?
And Spider Mountain, you can actually go on YouTube and just type in Spider Mountain. And I think we have maybe three or four claymation videos. Actually, 3 claymations and then 1 live action. And the album is called No Way Down. And you can always get it at my website, choptopsbbq.com.
Wow. All right. Great.
Awesome. Definitely.
How's that for a sales pitch?
Yeah, definitely. Hey, did you ever see the video that some guy made for Pigs Are People Too? It's like a claymation for. Is that the same guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that was awesome. I like that. That was.
Yeah,
awesome.
we love that video.
Yeah, that's Jim Lombardo.
Okay.
I met him, when he was like maybe 15, and we met at a convention near him in Ohio. I think it was Cinema Wasteland outside of Cleveland, and. He showed me, he gave me a DVD of some of his claymation stuff, and I saw it, and I thought, this is really cool. So I started using him, called him up or emailed him and said, hey, would you do one for, I sent him the CD and said, would you do one for, I think the first one was Pigs Are People Too, or maybe Spot the Psycho, I'm not sure, but, and it was so good. It was just like, man, this is fabulous. So he's somebody I've used, year in and year out. He's a great guy, and what a great imagination. So I just want to thank you guys. I had a great time. Thank you for reminding me of this. This is a career.
Yep.
Sometimes I forget about that. I just think I wake up and I go, well, whatever, and then I'm reminded. Yeah, that's right.
And we all saw the Rogue River that's coming out this week. We saw the trailer. It looks great.
Yep.
Yes, I think it's actually on sale today in Walmart.
Yep.
And whatever else is left after Walmart's been there.
Exactly. All right, we will definitely check that out. And everybody, check it out. Bill Moseley, thank you, thank you, bro, for coming on the show. We loved it, man. Thank you.
All right, well, it's my pleasure.
Thanks, Bill.
My pleasure, guys.
All right,
hang in there, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
And remember, lick my plate, you dog dicks.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks, Bill.
Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
I'll be your friend if you be mine. I'll take your brain, you take my spine. I'll take your feet, you take my eyes. And we'll lie back, stare at the skies. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. He's over here, he's over there, he's in your easy chair. Wow! Might be your mom, might be your dad, gas station attendant, or a college grad. Might be the president, or a man in jail. But spot the psycho, he brings the mail. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. She's over here, she's over there, she's in your underwear. Ah! He killed the dog, he killed the cat. His only friend's a vampire bat. His brain is fried like a double egg. He's got a knife, he'll make you beg. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. He's over here, he's over there, he's in your easy chair. Wow! Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho. I'll be your friend, and you be mine. I'll take your brain, you take my spine. I'll take your feet, you take my eyes, and we'll lie back, stare at the skies. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho! Spot the psycho, spot the psycho! Spot the psycho, spot the psycho! He's over here, he's over there, he's in your easy chair. Ah! Might be your mom, might be your dad. Gas station attendant, college grad, might be president, man in jail. Spot the psycho, do not fail. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. Spot the psycho, spot the psycho. He's over here, he's over there, she's in your underwear.